SLFP prepares for upcoming local government election. Reports of long queues at fuel stations. Sherry Acheson to be reunited with her birth mother soon. Gamini Senarath files fundamental rights petition to avoid arrest. It's Friday the 3rd of November 2017. A very good evening. This is Primetime News. We are coming to you live and direct from our Newsfirst studios in Colombo. I'm Joel Outscorn.
A very good evening. I'm Rahna Farooq. Let's start off with a look at your top story for tonight. Parliamentarians representing the Sri Lanka Freedom Party held a special discussion with the President at the Presidential Secretariat today. Attention had been drawn towards the upcoming local government election.
Sri Lanka will be contesting under an alliance. No, the SLFP will not contest local government elections with the UMP. That is very clear. The SLFP will contest under broad alliance. Now, comments on the upcoming local government elections have started to dominate political debate. Here are some of those comments. It seems that Minister Dr. Rajitha Senaratne said is true. It appears the SLFP and the UMP will join hands for the next elections.
I cannot comment on his predictions. He can think what he wants.
You were at the cabinet when the announcement was made.
I was, but it was not the stance of the party. He said he will do it in Beruwala.
So the UMP has no such decision?
The United National Party will contest as the United National Front.
As long as Basil Rajapaksa is around, the SLFP and the joint opposition cannot be merged. We have faith of merging at least this week. But we will never join hands with the United National Party. But if the party hierarchy decides, we will have to contest via independent groups. We will never join hands with the UNP and contest. It is believed Piyasena Gamage will take oaths as a minister in the near future. He will be the SLFP leader for the Galle district.
JVP MP Vijitha Herath says voters must ensure that the ballot cast in the upcoming local government election will be against fraud and corruption.
The people will have the opportunity in January to voice their displeasure on fraud and corruption committed by this government. The Rajapaksa administration took this country to a bad position, and the present government is doing something very similar. The people must make the local government election a public voice against theft, fraud and corruption. If a referendum is created to bring about an untainted administration which opposes theft, fraud and corruption, we can root out those malpractices from the village level. Cover these elections to meet those aspirations. Launch your campaign now. I plead that you cast your ballot for an untainted and clean administration. And on to a trending story here at home. Now, Newsfirst has received reports of a possible shortage of fuel across the country. Our correspondents report that there are long queues at a number of filling stations in several areas. Newsfirst's attempt to reach the respective authorities were futile as none of them responded to our calls. However, consumers question if this is an attempt to create an artificial situation in the market in order to justify the purchase of refined fuel.
Former President's Chief of Staff Gamini Senarath has filed a fundamental rights petition at the Supreme Court seeking an order preventing his arrest. The Police Financial Crimes Investigation Division is on the search for 3 people, including Gamini Senarath, for misappropriation of public funds.
There's an ongoing investigation to arrest Gamini Senarath, a Ministry Secretary Neil Bandara Hapuhinna, and Piyadasakuda Balage, a former head of Litrogas. Recently, the FCID informed court that the trio were missing when they went in search of them to the addresses given by them. Court has already banned overseas travel for the trio. On the 21st of December, the Sri Lanka Insurance Corporation, Litrogas Lanka and the Employees Provident Fund together formed Sino Lanka Hotels and Spa Private Limited to revive Selinko Leisure Properties Limited, which was taken over under the Revival of Underperforming Enterprises and Underutilized Assets Act. Cabinet approval was granted for this venture. The founding directors of Lanka Hotels and Spa Private Limited were Gamini Senarath, Nilbandara Hapuhinna, Piedasa Kudabalage and Mohandi Alves. The very next day, after forming Lanka Hotels and Spa Private Limited, these four people formed another company by the name of Canville Holdings Limited, of which they were made directors as well. These four individuals are also directors in a company that was formed recently by the name of Lanka Hotels and Spa. The Sri Lanka Insurance Corporation, Litrogas and the EPF are represented in Canville Holdings Limited under a number of conditions. Police investigations revealed that SLIC invested Rs 8.5 billion, Litrogas invested Rs 5 billion and the EPF invested another Rs 5 billion, a total of Rs 18.5 billion in Canville Holdings Limited. A condition imposed by the EPF in its investment was, until Canville Holdings Limited completes and handovers a hotel project, Lanka Hotels and Spa and other companies cannot initiate any other hotel development projects. However, on the 24th of February 2014, the Board of Directors of Canville Holdings Limited decided to transfer Rs 500 million to Lanka Hotels and Spa. Similarly, on the 29th of December 2014, another Rs 3.5 billion was transferred to Lanka Hotels and Spa. Funds had been transferred to a bank account under the name of Lanka Hotels and Spa on 3 separate occasions, even before obtaining approval through a circular issued by the Board of Directors. Lanka Hotels and Spa thereafter launched a Hyatt Regency project in Hambantota at a cost of Rs 312.2 million in direct violation of the investment conditions. The Attorney General says the former President's Chief of Staff had committed a crime under the Public Property Act, and adding that he had instructed the FCID to take appropriate actions under the Code of Criminal Procedure Act. The FCID, presenting facts to court, said they made the announcement to arrest Gamini Senarath, Nilbandara Hapuhinna and Piedasa Kudabalage and produced them in court after the Attorney General provided instructions. It is in this backdrop that Gamini Senarath filed a petition with the Supreme Court seeking an order preventing his arrest. In the FR, Senarath has named the OIC of the police FCID and the Attorney General as respondents.
A delegation of the European Parliament paid an official visit to Sri Lanka from the 1st to the 3rd of this month. MEPs expressed concern regarding the progress achieved that has been slower than originally hoped for, but that the foundations for that progress were now mostly in place.
Some of the issues that we raised a year ago, for example, the Prevention of Terrorism Act and issues around the procedures attached to criminal law are still elements of concern. We were given assurances a year ago by the government that we would see rapid change on this, that change was in process, and that following the budget discussions of last year there would be movement. I think we're clear, we're very disappointed to see that we have still not got change on the statute books, that even though progress has been made, engagement with the United Nations on this, the new draft bill, that we still have the Prevention of Terrorism Act in place. We also, I think, too, would welcome that at long last the draft constitution is beginning to take shape in terms of its proposal, that discussion is now out there, that debate is now out there in the public domain.
Well, Buddhists the world over mark Il Full Moon Poya Day, signalling the end of the vast season. Full Moon Poya Day marks many significant events in the history of Buddhism, including the announcement of the future Buddha Maitreya Bodhisattva, the first Buddhist missionary activity by 60 Arhats, the admission of the Jatila brothers to the Buddhist order, and the passing of the chief disciple Arhat Sariputta. This is also the last Full Moon Poya Day of the Vas season, or the rainy season, and marks the end of the Katina Pinkama at temples across the country. A special Bodhi Puja was performed today in the vicinity of the statue of the seated Buddha at the Sri Shakya Malake opposite the head office of the Capital Maharaj Organisation Limited, in line with Il Poya. The Buddha Puja was sponsored by Newsfirst. The sermon was delivered by Dr. Venerable Kirinde Astajithero of the Hunapitiya Gangarame Temple.
The Capital Maharaja Organisation traditionally hosts such a Bodhi Puja on every Poya Day. The companies that come under the Capital Maharaja Organisation take up responsibility of this puja every month. May the blessings invoked by this special puja bring merit to all the people of this country.
Tonight we bring you a wonderful story of a daughter's search for her birth mother. A few weeks ago, a Newsfirst received a request from Sri Lankan-born British national Sherry Atchison requesting help in her search to find her biological mother. Newsfirst takes great pride in revealing that her quest has now come to an end. Very soon, Sherry and her mother will be reunited.
The results of the DNA test conducted to ascertain the birth mother of Sherry Atchison was released last night. The test conducted by UK-based Alpha Biolab confirms that the DNA of Sherry Atchison and that of Dingiri-amma, who we traced in the initial search, are a 99.99% match. Sherry was born on the 28th of February 1991, and 15 days later she was handed into the care of an Irish couple. Since the data contained in a birth certificate proved to be false, Newsfirst launched an investigation. We received a major break in our search on the 17th of last month, and Newsfirst dispatched 2 teams to Kurunegala and Gampaha in search of Sherry's biological mother. She believed that a photograph taken on the date of her adoption depicted her birth mother. Following an extensive search, we were able to track down someone who had startling resemblance to the woman in the photograph. The details contained in Sherry's fake birth certificate notes that her mother's name is Dingiri Manika. The name of the individual we believed to be her mother was Dingiri-amma. We initially passed several photographs of Dingiri-amma to Sherry, and upon further investigations, she was able to relate to us some details that we had withheld from our initial news reports. The Newsfirst management decided to conduct a DNA test to ascertain with certainty whether the individual we found was the mother of Sherry Atchison. Based on an agreement by all parties, the DNA sample was collected from Dingiri-amma through the Colombo North Teaching Hospital. The samples were then sent to the United Kingdom for testing. Sherry, who has achieved many accolades throughout her career, agreed to foot the bill for the test. She will arrive in the country in a couple of days, a time to reunite with the mother she has not seen since she was 15 days old.
For years, the residents of Iriagolla Rambukkana have been suffering due to the lack of access to drinking water. Today, the Government the 1000 Projects initiative took the first step in rectifying this dire need with assistance from the Swiss ambassador in Sri Lanka.
Vice-Chancellor of the Peradeniya University, Professor Upul Dissanayake, was in attendance at the launch of the Government project. The Ambassador of Switzerland to Sri Lanka, Heinz Walker-Nettekun, and his wife also graced the occasion. The foundation stone was laid today for the community water project in this manner, taking the first step in making the dreams of the people in Iriagolla a reality. The bountiful region of Iriagolla had a hidden secret. That was an increasing number of kidney patients due to lack of access to clean drinking water.
So I very much congratulate the Gamada initiative as a private initiative to raise awareness on your situation. I understand from the main road to here to your village, then livelihood, and then environmental problems. All these problems can be solved. And I think that a good information, objective information, is very important to promote this process. You have a huge potential, though I would encourage you that you feel yourself as an important part of this building process of a new Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka needs you.
On this Poya Day, Newsfirst has begun an extremely meritorious deed. I hope that this project is completed successfully. This is being done through the Gammadda initiative. Gammadda initially began as a project to ascertain the problems faced by the people of the country. They travelled from village to village, inquiring into these issues. Following
the event, the Swiss ambassador travelled across the village of Iriagolla, looking into the needs of the village.
බිම වැටෙන තරමට ගැහෙන හදවත් ළඟ ඇසිපිය නොහෙලා බලා ඉන්න නෙතුලඟ සිරියාව තවරන්නේ හැමදාමත් අපි අපිමයි මේ අපි අපිට ලං වෙන කාලයයි ගම්මැත්තේ මිනිස්කම සුවදයි මේ සොයා යන්නේ මේ සොයා යන්නේ
ඉරියගොල්ල වල්කොටුවේ ජනතාවට
Today marks a very important day for the people of Iriyagolla. Today the first step was taken to resolve the drinking water crisis that plagued this area for decades.
ලැබුණා ගම්මැද්ද සිරස ආයතනයේ මගින් ක්‍රියාත්මක කරපු ප්‍රජා ජල ව්‍යාපෘතියක් අද අපි ආරම්භ කළා.
We didn't have water to drink all this time. Today we are getting this opportunity. We are very happy. We traveled for miles in search of water. We carried barrels and we took our children with us. We went through many hardships. Today our drinking water needs are being met.
The Red Bridge is a small bridge located in a distant corner of the Hambantota district. For years, the residents of this area have been calling on officials to widen this narrow, 1.5-foot wide bridge.
This is the Red Bridge which connects the Yakkasmulla and the Hambantota villages in Veerakatiya. The residents of these two villages have used this narrow bridge for their daily commute for nearly 40 years. The public cemetery used by both villages is located in close proximity to the bridge, and residents highlight the numerous difficulties that they have to face when attempting to carry their friends and family across this narrow crossing.
Only 2 people can carry a coffin on this bridge. A similar situation occurred recently as well.
We have to use the same bridge to cross when it floods. We face great difficulty in carrying small children across this bridge. It is also with great difficulty that we use the bridge at night.
The bridge was initially constructed by the Department of Irrigations, and area residents shout that their request to widen the bridge has fallen on deaf ears.
One person fell into this canal at around 2 in the afternoon. There wasn't even anyone to recover his remains. All we want is for this bridge to be widened. The department doesn't allow this to take place. Even Chamal came to look into this, but approval was not granted.
A protest was staged along the Kandy-Matale main road at the Saitan junction today. The protesters claim that nearly 300 families in Saitan village have been suffering due to the lack of clean drinking water for the past 35 years.
Still in news here at home now, 2 police STF personnel arrested over the shooting in Ariale, Jaffna were produced in the Jaffna Magistrate Court last evening and were remanded until the 16th of November.
Police said the suspects, an STF sub-inspector and STF constable attached to the STF camp in Jaffna, will be produced for an identification parade on the 16th. They were arrested by the Criminal Investigation Department following instructions given by the Inspector General of Police. The shooting took place on the 22nd of October in Maniyanthotam, Ariale in Jaffna, when 2 people travelling on a motorbike were shot at by another 2 people travelling also on a motorbike. 1 person died in the incident.
The 25th Teachers' Day celebration of the Catholic schools in Sri Lanka took place at the auditorium of St. Joseph's College, Colombo. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe and Archbishop of Colombo, His Eminence Malcolm Cardinal Ranjith, graced the event.
The celebrations took place following Holy Mass. Minister of Education Akila Viraj Kariyavasam, Catholic priests and nuns, as well as teachers of Catholic schools were among those present.
At times I feel disappointed. We would be having better schools in the country today if the government only held partial control of the school and allowed others to develop it. Today most of the children are compelled to travel overseas for education. Back then many came to Sri Lanka from other countries. What we need to do is now allow to move ahead while having a strong spiritual foundation.
As long as a school is an independent institution, it will be beneficial for the development of the country. The government is responsible for making policy decisions and informing the school administrations about those policies. If politicians from various parties, be it ministers, MPs or local government representatives, intervene in every action related to a school and insist on how matters need to be handled, the independent nature of the schools will fade away. The value of teachers will fade away. The value of that profession fades away. In such a situation, a just and disciplined society will not be created. This is why it is important that everyone in the education sector takes steps to protect the independence of schools.
The reverend priests who are present here have taken leadership in the fact of operating private funded schools in a proper manner, which is part of our educational system. We have discussed shortcomings and we have clearly said we need to act on them. Convener of the Left Centre, Chamira Perera, expressed the following views on the Prime Minister today at a media briefing.
Ranil Wickremesinghe took over saying he will make the economy better. The economy was never made better. The central bank was broken into. His name is mentioned in the bond matter. I do not know who they refer to as Honourable PM. Is it not the PM in Sri Lanka and the PM of some other country? The text messages mention the name. The experts who took over the task of making the economy better have taken over the task of compiling the constitution. When Ranil Wickremesinghe is taking this task over, that itself is a problem to the people. Can the elite of the UNP led by Ranil Wickremesinghe compile a transparent, clean and just constitution? That is a serious concern. I think they are trying to create an executive prime minister through parliament, but all the trumps Ranil Wickremesinghe tried to play during his whole political career went the wrong way.
The foundation stone for a bridge linking Hambantota and Kirinda across the Kirindi Oya in Thissamarama was placed today. The event presided over Deputy Leader of the UNP Minister Sajith Premadasa.
The project will cost 236.3 million rupees. During his second term in office, the executive president had surplus of funds after the end of the war. What happened to those funds? Whose pockets were filled with those funds? However, while obtaining commissions, millions were spent to build an international conference hall for Hambantota, which is of no use. Funds have been misappropriated. There were no funds to build a bridge for this area back then. However, they built a ruined international cricket stadium, a shipless port, and an airport where planes don't arrive.
Well, as we have come to the end of this edition of Primetime News, just a reminder that if you missed out on any of the stories tonight we had on Primetime News, you could simply log on to our website, that is www.Newsfirst.lk. And coming up next is a comprehensive roundup for the top business stories of the week, and tax affecting food prices comes under discussion, and that is on BIS Review 360.
For the News First team, I'm Rahna Farooq. Thank you for watching. Have a pleasant night.
I'm Joel Otsgoon. Take care. Good night.